Trauma, toxic stress, broken habit, and hurting heart don't define destiny, but peace isn't passive. It requires an exchange. To create a flip and access peace in the middle of the pieces, you are challenged to make an exchange of the lies that have kept you mentally hostage in basement moments. Resilience isn't about bouncing back, but bouncing forward. Living Strong, the flip side of adversity, brings powerful stories and fearless conversations from experts in the field of business, relationships, emotional, physical, and mental health, and faith-based communities. Each episode creates a brave space with powerful tools from authentic connections. Tune in as we dig in with Dr. Jackson on the flip side of adversity. Hello and welcome to the flip side of adversity. I am Dr. Veirdre Jackson, the CEO and creative behind Living Strong Consulting. And I am so excited about this conversation. If you've been following us on social media, then you know this conversation has been in the works for a while. I'm going to share all of her credentials, but first of all, it is awesome to be able for the first episode in the new year to have a good sister friend and my soror, for us to be able to have an honest, transparent conversation around if you have been wearing a mask, if you are operating from a place of imposter syndrome or a concern that you aren't enough, and you're trying to find your way to a bold place in 2025, this is the conversation for you. And not only is it the conversation for you, it also is an opportunity for you to invite somebody else to the conversation or share it right now onto your page. It is going to be a powerful one. So I told you she's my sister friend. She is my soror. And now let me give you a little bit of her receipts around why I'm having her share this conversation at the top of 2025. Rochelle Peterson-Ansari is an international expert, master trainer, coach, and speaker with over 30 years of experience in diversity, equity, and inclusion, training, and education. Her work focuses on creating transformational learning solutions and culturally competent instruction to support underrepresented and marginalized groups. With extensive experience in higher education, youth development, and nonprofit leadership, Rochelle has led impactful DEI initiatives for schools, universities, and organizations. She co-authored Pennsylvania's Culturally Relevant Sustaining Educator Competencies and has published works in both scholarly journals and inspirational anthologies. She is a proud alumni of Bucknell University and the University of Vermont, and as I share, she is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. As we celebrate our Sisterhood Week, I welcome to the show none other than Professor P. Rochelle Peterson-Ansari. Welcome to the flip side of adversity, soror.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. It is such an honor to have just been invited to this conversation. And yes, happy Sisterhood Week. 112 years.
112 years of sisterhood, scholarship, social action, and service. And it's powerful that as sorors, we're having this conversation. It is the first conversation for season 14. It is the first conversation for Flipside in 2025. And so Women of Action having an authentic conversation around how do we put down the masks and show
Mm,
up authentically in all
hmm
of who we are. Now, y'all, her bio was sheets and sheets. I could not give it full credit, but you have a story in which you've not only flipped this experience of standing in your most authentic self and getting rid of masks, not only educationally, but you have lived experience with this. Can I first ask you, how did you even know you were hiding behind a mask?
mm. Thank you. That is a great question to start, right? Like, how did I know I was hiding behind a mask? Well, while I was hiding for many, many decades, I didn't know.
Mm,
There were different moments over time when it was revealed to me.
okay.
So there are multiple masks that I wore, and I would say they fell under three different larger categories, but there were multiple masks. And one vivid memory that I have of unveiling a mask was when I was in a program. It was called some curriculum for life. We were trying to, I thought I was really working on lifting the lid on my leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, did I get so much more. I realized that I was telling myself a story
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and a running story that was not true.
Mm. Wow.
I would say that was my first revelation that I'm wearing a mask, that I was wearing a mask because I was trying to cover up a story that I had about myself.
Yeah. And
Mhm,
when we get honest with
mhm,
ourselves and begin the healing work, we have to reconcile the fact that the mask is there to conceal something. And when you think about what you were trying to conceal, it also sounds like it was also some type of protection for you as well. Can you tell us a little bit about how you even began to pick up the mask in the first place?
Okay. Well, maybe I should tell you what the mask was,
Yes.
right? Like, so the masks were perfectionism,
Mm.
showing up as that strong, independent, I can do all things, maybe with Christ, but I don't need the rest of y'all. I had that good spirit, like, I don't need y'all anyway.
Wow. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
had that spirit. And workaholism,
Mm-hmm.
and actually hiding the mask of being happily single at one point in my life.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now you just stepped on somebody's toes because they're like, wait, is that a mask?
At least it was for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so I had these masks, and you asked what were they concealing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So perfectionism. Wow. So the brief story is that I heralded perfectionism as a great thing. One, it was one of the stories my mom told, right? Like, so she still tells, like, I'm a perfectionist. Like, she wears it like a badge of honor. And
Mm-hmm.
what I think she means is excellence.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I internalized be perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
The workaholism, the perfectionism were wrapped up in achievement and accomplishment. And what they all were concealing was this person that did not think she was enough or worth anything, to be honest, if she wasn't doing, if she wasn't achieving, and if she wasn't two and three times better,
Wow.
wasn't worth. anything.
Oh,
And there's another level to it too, but I'll wait in case you want to, ask
be,
me another question.
because that, as you were just saying, I felt a weight just literally start, and I began to think about how exhausting it must be.
Mhm.
It must have been. And when we get honest in unpacking, what is this tied to? What am I hiding? What does that also, if I am not clear on my value and I'm hiding behind a mask, I'm curious, what are your thoughts about how that then impacts the relationships I'm trying to form and navigate the world around me?
Right. Well, what's interesting is you can have some, I don't know that they're all healthy, but you can have a lot of great relationships, but I think they stay on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
If what's underneath all of that is that you don't trust yourself, you don't
Mm-hmm.
accept yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how can somebody else really accept you?
Yeah.
And I would dare say that in the recesses of our minds, we're always questioning
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whether people are accepting us. And so you're spending a lot of mental energy
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure that out.
Right. Right. And you
Yes.
can't actually begin to create and do the innovative things that you that are tied to your assignment and purpose, because you're doing all of these somersaults trying to prove yourself, feel accepted, please other people. I know we are coming down somebody's street. Can I get an amen in the in the comment section? Am I by myself here? Like, it is exhausting. And when you said, if you are not okay with yourself, then you can't really have relationships that go any deeper than surface level.
Right.
But why
That's right.
why would you say it's important for us to become brave enough to begin to put down those masks? What was your point in time in which you said, okay, enough is enough. I've got to do something different.
Mhm. Yes. Well, I decided enough is enough only recently. So it's been in the last 5 years.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, at least yes, in the last 5 years. A couple of things have happened. Excuse me. Well, I'll say this. At least 12 years ago, I started getting the leaning, and that was when I got married,
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Happily single. She
You're-
put that mask over here.
exactly, exactly. And it was only 2 years before that, or not even 2 years before that, when I put that mask down,
Mm-hmm.
that happily single mask down, and really had a honest conversation with God and myself about what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
What was the reality was I was fearful. I didn't trust my decision making because I had been in an abusive relationship. And like many people who wonder, how did I even get there? I certainly wasn't going to go there again.
Right.
And so
Right.
it was safe
Mm-hmm.
to really stay out of relationship. So yeah, I was kind of in denial when I was really fearful.
Mm.
I
Mm.
was deeply fearful, like I'm sure a lot of people out there are, of being hurt, even if it's just emotionally hurt where, people let you down. But I was literally concerned that I might have attracted that.
Mm.
And,
Yeah.
as I was going through my healing
Yeah.
from that situation, that was the message I was getting, that it could be that there's something, we're animals and we have energy where
Mm-hmm.
people can target you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
even the perpetrator might not even know how they know
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to target you.
Yeah.
And I was fearful of that. I was like, that can't happen again.
Right.
And so instead of putting myself out there, I went in
Yeah.
for 15 years. I kid you not. This is not a short story,
Wow.
but
Wow.
I was happily single
I was happily single and fearful at the same time.
at the same time.
So there's something you referenced that as you were saying it, I think about the trauma work that I do with clients and that concern that I draw this, there's something about me that brings this the people that I don't want, a pattern or a trend. Sometimes we can trace that back to experiences from our childhood. And I know we've had conversations that in some cases you are using masks to be the person that you didn't have when you were a child. Can you unpack that a little bit more for us?
Yes, yes. So when we go further back in the story, I can pinpoint a lot of what I've had to recover from in my life at a starting point where I was abused as a
Mm-hmm.
child. So the abuse was that I was molested um, by someone who's supposed to help raise me and
Mm-hmm.
love me, right? And nurture me, an adult. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to you with the mind of a child
Mm-hmm.
right
Mm-hmm.
now, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And something locked in
Mm-hmm.
about being safe. I also was surrounded by a lot of alcoholism. Thankfully, a lot of those people changed behaviors later, but I was exposed to alcoholism to the point where I was in situations where I had to get adults home.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the situation where I was molested, this was not by a biological family member, but a family member nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And I was concerned that one, my biological father was going to kill the person
Mm-hmm.
and then go to jail. Now I have no daddy. And or and then my dad's going to kill my mom,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? For letting that
All,
happen to me. Yeah.
all of the
And,
stories.
and I'm protecting as a child in my mind. I made up my mind to protect adults.
Wow.
And it really wasn't until many, many, many years later that I understood that even the work, the good work I've done in the world, I still hear my students call me back from, and some of them are good friends of mine now that I've had 20 years ago, 10 years ago. They remember something I said, something we did, something I helped elevate in them. I was doing good work in the world. But listen, I found out that I think I wanted to do that work, or I did do that work, not that I think. I know now that my initial motivation was to be the person I thought I needed to keep me safe,
Mm.
right? The
Yeah.
person to make me know that I mattered. Because what the problem was, like, so I know, right, as an adult that I mattered to my parent, and to many people, right? I know that. But something locked in when I was trying to head off, like when the person was trying to groom me. So anybody who's
Mm.
been molested knows what grooming is.
Mm-hmm.
The person was trying to groom me. I told the trusted adult. They addressed the person, but the person was still in our life, and I was still
Mm-hmm.
unsafe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what locked in was, oh, well, Rochelle, you don't matter. You don't matter as much as other people. That's what locked into the
Mm-hmm.
mind of a child,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So I know part of what I have to share is for not for somebody today. Maybe it is, in their life as an adult today, but for somebody who is raising children.
Mm. Yeah. Recognizing how experiences cannot be dismissed if we want to validate children and at their core help them understand that you are seen, you are safe, you are valued, and you are heard.
Yes. Yes. And the littlest something like that, you don't even know, right? How that can affect the rest of someone's life. And someone who otherwise successful, leader, doing their own things, had their own house in their 20s, successful by all accounts, right? The way the world would
Right.
define success.
Yeah. The but you said you might be saying this for individuals who have children in their lives, but
Mm-hmm.
I immediately thought about the grown adults today who know that everyone matters or I matter or I have, like, they know, but they don't know
Right. They
here.
don't know for
They
themselves.
don't know for
Yes.
themselves in their heart, in their soul.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a mantra, it's a hashtag, but
Mm.
actually knowing
Yeah.
and living from that place, there's a disconnect.
Exactly. Well, and that was a disconnect for me
Mm-hmm.
until I heard someone say, I made mention of, being a perfectionist in recovery, and someone just said, um, perfectionism is a sign of low self-worth. Well, that caught my attention
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I said, now I know that I was a perfectionist, and I'm trying to be in recovery now, but low self-worth. And I had to sit with that. That was
Mm-hmm.
said for me.
Yeah.
And I had to do some introspection around that. Like, where could that show up?
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I found it.
Yeah.
And I needed to hear it. I needed to hear it. I wish I had heard it many decades before or, figured it out for myself. But I got it when I needed it.
Yes. And you were
Yeah.
ready to do the work to create that
To,
flip. Instead
exactly.
of dismissing it, pushing it away, you actually received it and even
Mm-hmm.
allowed the discomfort, because you said, ooh, so it had to have hurt a little, it had to sting a little bit.
Yeah. Because I was like, if that's true, then
What does that mean?
what does that mean? I
Yeah.
mean, I really would not have said I'm someone with low self-worth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would not have also said that I was a people pleaser or anything that seemed like that. But when I dug deep,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what
Yeah.
I found was a need for approval of others.
You are speaking somebody's truth, and you just said that across the airwaves, and somebody else just said, oh, wait. And now they are in a waiting, ready to receive moment. If you think about what the tools or the resources are that
Mhm.
people could begin to use to help them actually create a flip from the
Mhm.
adversity that might have started their story but doesn't have to end their story,
That's right.
what are some tools, resources, strategies? You said you were introspective. What
Mhm.
else did you do?
One thing that actually helped me surface that need for approval was tied to another goal that I intentionally set. So one, be intentional about your quest, right? To make that, to bring the information to the surface and then to move differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I was intent on moving differently because it just didn't feel like life was really enjoyable in the way that I anticipate that was possible,
Yeah.
right? Like something told me it was possible. And I really think I did have a period where, my version of happy, I had maybe a solid 6 years of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided one day that I needed to learn how to talk to God been in church, saved by the blood of Jesus since I was 10 years old. But I didn't quite understand how God worked.
Mm.
And that's what I started leaning into. I went back to basics, my foundation, right? And so,
Yeah.
whatever the foundation is for you, I highly recommend it, where many of your core values were being instilled, right? And that's assuming that there are a bunch of good people out there, right? That only want good in this world. Go back to your foundation.
Yeah.
And so I went to my foundation. I decided I also needed to work on my consistency, discipline, and I literally wanted to feel joy from the inside out. So I decided, well, actually, by the recommendation of Dee Dee Lofton, I will give her flowers for helping put me in the right direction. I told her one day I didn't know how to pray.
Mm.
And she said, start in John. God is getting ready to elevate you. So I started reading the book of John because that's the book that I think more chronologically, well, it may not be all chronological, but it's the book in the Christian Holy Bible that where I think Jesus speaks the most,
Mm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Jesus himself speaks the most. And boy, did I find out a whole lot of things that I didn't know before because I always had an interpreter between me and God. So I just started reading a parable a day, literally. Just
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read for 20 minutes. I'm going to reflect on it. And I'm going to do this before I even talk to anybody else because I need this, right, to experience that joy. But also it was right at a time when I was waking up, like, I was waking up and looking at my husband like, and I heard myself like say something not so nice first thing, like the first thing I said to him. And I said, nah, that's got to change
Mm-hmm.
because I could feel that there was no reason. Obviously, I just woke up. Like, why are you cranky? So I said, I need to not be cranky
Yes.
first thing in the morning. And so really that precipitated me getting up earlier. I said I'll get up earlier so that I am awake and alert and can do this devotion before I get a chance to talk to anyone.
Mm.
I didn't even deal with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the first strategy. And as I
But
was reading,
Rochelle,
oh,
you
go ahead.
gave like five strategies in that one example.
Oh, did I?
You did. Like you said in your knowing, you
Mhm.
actually knew that that joy was possible for you,
Oh,
and you
yes.
set the intention, and
Mm-hmm.
then you began to go back to your foundation,
Mm-hmm.
whatever your foundation is, that was healthy
Mm-hmm.
and positive. So you went back to your foundation. You were
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable with someone to tell them that you did not know how to do something, that
True.
others may have given you the side eye. So that vulnerability, get
Mm.
some help, and then you created a strategy. Like you
Yes.
just gave us a whole book. Zakia asked, she said, so when is the book? Like that was a book by itself that I think
Mm.
as people begin to redefine what they're calling success,
Yes.
because you can have a lot of accolades and be sad, broken, and lost on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. And I'm a witness.
Oh,
Yes,
so
I am a
keep giving it to
witness.
us. So we were in
Yes.
John. We were just in John.
Well, the first thing that I recognized, which helped me understand some stinking thinking I had, like some distorted thinking I had, the thing that really stood out was that Jesus was persecuted, right? I mean, and deeply as he's trying to save people and perform miracles and heal in their lives, people are persecuting him. right? And I thought, I literally had the light bulb finally, right? Because I've heard this before, that I finally thought, so why do I think that God is only at work when good things are happening?
Mm,
Because I literally, right, the little girl also was in shame and didn't understand how God worked. So the little girl was like, I'm not pleasing to God either. And I
mhm,
have to somehow earn it. And so only when good things happen am I in good relationship with God
mhm,
instead of God just loving me because he created me, right?
yeah,
Like it literally took that, like no interference
mhm,
for me to get the lesson, right? To
yeah,
to understand how God works. And I'm surrounded by some wonderful people who are prayer warriors,
mhm,
who have relationships with God, but there is nothing like your own. I can get little bits from them, but there's nothing like what the time alone and getting the information for myself
mhm,
and trusting that what I'm gathering, right? The thoughts that are coming to me,
mhm,
trusting that that's good for me as well,
yeah, yeah,
right? And some people would call that that's the Holy Spirit working in you,
mhm, mhm,
right?
yeah.
And so when I was doing that every day, and now like it's just, it's like learning anything else, right? It's a like I can't not do it. I've even
Establishing your day.
right.
Yeah.
It establishes my day, so I can't not do it. And if I get up late, you should see me walk around here with the Bible like I'm gonna find a spot. Oh, okay. I'm gonna find a spot, like, hold on, before we even have a conversation. So, and sometimes, I'll just hold myself
Mhm, mhm,
because
mhm,
I've gotten up a little too late. But listen, learning that really made a difference in me in the journey of self-acceptance
mhm.
as well, right? Because I'm trusting even what I'm thinking, right? I'm trusting it
Right.
as in the study. So doing that every day, doing something that pours into you as a person, pours into your trust of yourself,
Yeah.
leads to self-acceptance and leads to, I mean, there's other layers. I had to learn boundaries as well. When people are when you're abused, and especially if it's physical, I'm sure, you may know more about this as a
Mhm,
trauma informed expert, but when people are abused, especially physically, and I will just say in any form of molestation of a child, they don't have control over their body. They have a sense that they don't have control. That's going to breed a sense of needing control. And for me, that also was why there was expressions of perfectionism,
mhm, mhm.
right? I can control how you see me. That was feeding into my need for your approval.
Yeah. Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. As you made these very intentional flips and you created this structure early in the morning as you
Mhm.
unpacked your stinking thinking, you got honest with yourself and said, what I'm thinking isn't healthy for the relationship I'm in or even for myself. And
Right.
you dug in and did this work. As you began to really see the changes, how has aligning your actions with your core values begun to change the way that you're actually approaching your work, your relationship, and your purpose?
Mhm. Let me tell you something. People's opinion of me don't matter. Let me, and it brings you a sense of freedom that just
Yeah,
come over to the other side. You'll see.
yeah.
Like I don't know that I can even describe the freedom. So literally, you know how I think a lot of people would say things in a relationship like you make me unhappy or you make nobody makes you happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
understood that on a cognitive level, right? But literally, when you let go of concern for other people's reaction
Mm-hmm.
and only get concerned about how you're being in the world, there's some kind of freedom. And the reason why I say that is because that is what God is concerned about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We are being,
Yeah.
not what we are doing
Right.
per se.
And you know what? You walked right into something that is burning in me. Actually, I'm feeling like it might take me all year to do it. But how do we get so rock solid clear on who we are and the integrity of who we are going to be, regardless of what other people do?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because as we recognize there's lots of fear, concern, uncertainty ahead of us. And I've been having these conversations around, but how do we stay clear, regardless of what someone else does? I'm going to continue to remain in integrity, to remain clear on my purpose, to remain clear on my value. And it doesn't get wavered because someone calls me out my name or does
Mhm.
something that um, reveals their pain or their hurt. I stay clear on how healed and whole I am, and identifying guests that will help us recognize, just as you brought up, Christ was crucified and he was trying to help us, heal
Right.
us, save
Mhm.
us, but he
Mhm.
stayed clear on what he was here to do, and it did not waver how he showed up.
Right.
So you walked right into like what I'm wrestling with.
Hmm.
I love it.
Hmm.
I love it. See, that's why
Well,
you're my
yeah.
sword.
Yes, indeed. And I hope you don't wrestle too long because I think that it's just a decision.
Mm,
We just have to decide. And hearing you talk about, Christ, right? And you said, yes, he didn't waver despite the persecution. Well, he was put here in human form so that we as Christians have an example
mm-hmm,
on how to be.
mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at my blueprint and
Yeah.
saying, oh, okay, my role model, that's how I'm supposed to be,
Mm, mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
And so I grab all of those nuggets and I concentrate on that all day. And let me tell you
mm-hmm,
something. This is the best, um, I guess, testimony since my freedom. And I still say I'm on a freedom walk because I don't think that there's nothing that I have to work on, but there was a moment where I would say things were falling apart financial, like my immediate family was wrestling with a financial tsunami, it seemed,
mm,
right? More money was going out, and we're pretty frugal and good stewards of our finances. So it's not because we went and,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
just threw things away. But let me tell you, I was holding on to some money at one point, and I was holding on to it. We were supposed to, both my husband and I were supposed to use money to get cars. And when I decided to come back out and be a consultant and trainer, coach full time, I held mine back, holding it for a rainy day, but always like kind of in this fearful space, right? Like I want to be prepared for the rainy day because the rainy day is coming.
mm-hmm,
You see, I had that kind of perspective. And I literally decided one day, I said, okay, I had the money for 2 years. and we didn't have to use it for an emergency. And I was like, you know what? You need to step out on faith. You were told that your daily bread would be provided for.
Mm,
So what's your problem?
mhm,
Right?
mhm,
You at least have an asset. If you know, if nothing else, you can sell your house. Go get the car. Because you're also you're riding around in a car that was paid for, but we were just waiting for when was that gonna stop?
right.
I think the car was not 20, not yet 20 years, 15 years old. It was pretty old.
Mhm,
And I knew that something was going to start happening. So, I was always kind of on edge. It wasn't at the top of my mind, but always on edge. And I said, no, I don't want to live like that anymore.
mhm. That scarcity mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So go ahead and take that jump. And then of course, and I mean a reasonable one, right? I still need a
Mhm,
vehicle, blah, blah, blah. So I go get the vehicle. And then it was like repairs for this, repairs for that. I mean, literally, we went to get new insurance for the house so that we could lower the bill,
mhm,
right? Because another company was just trying to hike things up. And we get things down to half of what the other one was. This is great. We have even more insurance, etc., by a reputable company. They come out and do the inspection as they do with new. And now there are these major things that need to happen. So my house is over 100 years old. Of course, there were going to be some major things, but that they could see from the outside. They didn't even come inside. And I thought, Lord, I cannot do this by myself. And I turned to my spouse and said, like not another thing. And also, the the entrepreneurial journey has its ups and downs. We were in that
mhm,
space as well. Um, you know, there was more, but I don't want to get too detailed, that
mhm,
reveals other people's business. So, but there were just things that were going to cost me more money going out and not enough coming in.
mhm,
And I started feeling I don't know another way to describe it, but anxious.
mhm.
And I used to have chronic anxiety, and I thought I was delivered from it. Seriously. Like delivered without medication. But I felt something, uneasy every morning. And I just started focusing on not having that feeling all day.
Mm, mhm,
I needed to focus on what was true. I'm asking questions of this feeling. Like, why are you feeling that way? And I couldn't
mhm,
come up with a good answer, right?
mhm, mhm,
Besides some irrational fear. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Here's your moment to have faith. So that's where I'm talking about having a very strong testimony, because I literally did not know how we were going to get those things paid. My husband handled it.
mhm. Yeah.
If I was not in that state where I was concerned about, how I was feeling on the inside, I would have tried to handle it.
Mhm,
I would have tried to lead. I needed to step back. I needed to not know how things were going to turn out, and they turned out perfectly.
yeah.
My worst worry was never an issue, right? Like I'm thinking there's going to be $20,000 worth of repairs and blah, blah, blah. Let's try all of the things. It
All
was a
of the
long
things.
list.
Mhm,
It was more like five
mhm,
instead of 20. And we had the ups and downs of when things had to get done, right? Because there's a deadline or you're going to lose your insurance. Do you know? It was funny because it was the tree service. They were the first people that we had scheduled, but that doesn't happen literally until 2 days before it was going to be
mm.
canceled. It happened
It
though.
happened.
It
It
happened.
happened.
And it was just so, it was such a testament to me, right? It was like
Mhm.
I was informing myself that I had grown,
Mm. Yeah.
right? So tremendously in my faith. Otherwise, in the past, that person worried, that person couldn't sleep, that person was on edge all of
Mhm.
the time. And still, that didn't change the result.
Right.
This person was not, because I would say inside of 5 days or so, that feeling went away and I trusted. We
Mm.
had moments where, ooh, I wanted to step in, but I had self-control.
Yeah.
That's another, right? That's another strategy. If you are working on your faith, right?
Mhm.
That we have to have self-control. Like nothing's wrong with having the feeling like you want to do what you would have normally done. Nothing's wrong with that, but have the self-control not to, so God could show out and show
Yeah.
off it for you,
Yeah.
which is what happened for us in so many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many things in what you just said because I think about someone who had an issue in the past that they felt was done and over, and a situation has risen up, and they are feeling something familiar to what they used to do. The
Mhm.
anxiety that they had said, okay, that's over, that's in my past, and something has happened and it's bringing it back up. And it's actually not for you to shame yourself, feel disappointed in yourself. It's not that you have failed. It's that this is an opportunity for you to reactivate strategies to show yourself that it does not have the same power that it had then. You are not the same person you were then. It will not have the same control over your life as it did then. And if you pause and get intentional about it, you'll be able to celebrate the new version of who you are.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And we have to, a lot of people talk about, oh, you need to celebrate your wins. They come in increments.
Mhm. Mhm.
We have to be mindful of that, that they come in increments. You
Mhm.
heard me talk about layers
Yeah.
that I was uncovering. Sometimes decades
Yeah.
have passed, right? And so we have to be conscious that these small wins are big as well. Like those small shifts, celebrate that you're growing, and that keeps you focused on moving forward
Yeah. Yeah.
and
The
possibility.
the
Yes.
incremental process, I think about to back to when you shared every morning, you just
Mhm.
continue to build the practice until now it's a habit
Habit.
that your body won't even allow you to skip. And so
Mhm.
being able to each discipline, each celebration, each step in this is still a part of the growth journey.
That's right.
I cannot believe
Yes.
we are already at 10 minutes before we're done, but I would love to ask you because you used this word earlier. What does joy mean to you now?
Hmm. What does joy mean to me? Joy is, and I say I want to experience joy from the
Mhm.
inside out. I mean, I literally feel elevated by every interaction that I have with people. Even when they aren't interactions that I prefer, I can see, like you mentioned earlier, that that's their stuff, not mine.
Mhm.
Um, I am joyful. I'm one of those deep thinkers. So when something's meaningful to me, that brings me joy. And so if I can be a conduit
Mhm.
of helping people experience something positive in their lives, that's joy.
Mhm.
I literally go outside in these frigid temperatures and say hello to winter now.
Mhm. Oh, girl, you are better than me. Oh, I can't say, I
I
can't
don't
say,
walk in it now.
I can't say good morning. Good morning to this rude wind. This wind is offensive. You are good.
But for some reason,
Yeah.
I mean, I have on a Parker and all that stuff, but because I'm up as I'm sure you are as well before it gets light
Yeah.
outside and it's still, I want to be thankful. I want to
Yeah.
be
I was
thankful
feeling that
because we
gratitude.
really, right? We need it.
Mm-hmm.
We need this to come so that the spring can come. And it has its purpose. It's cleaning the air. The snow cleans the air, etc. I want to be thankful for the rain,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's part of what experiencing joy is. And there's some things that I used to say, like my birthday, I would say, oh, I don't think you should throw your own birthday party. Now, a lot of people do that, but I didn't think so. I think other people should do it for you, you know? And actually, this year I decided, nah, I really want something simple where people have a great time and we all can be generous, right? And
Mm-hmm.
them just coming is my gift.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a game night and we played games like we played adult games, but we had the potential. I think we acted like children.
You had fun
So,
like children.
yes, we had
Yes.
fun like children. So we played, right? So joy is that as well. I've always been playful, but I would say that I'm taking control of having that in my life, however
Mm-hmm.
it comes, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
somebody invited me to an event next week, and ideally, I would love to do that with my husband, but it's in the middle of the week. He's not going to do that, right? Well, Ro is going to do something that she enjoys, right?
Yeah.
With other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if that fully answered your question because I'll get off of here and go, oh, that's joy too.
But it has layers, just like the
Yes.
healing process, just like the growth process. Joy has layers, but there, even in your definition, there was a level of freedom, of gratitude, of of release that I
Yes.
think allows us to shift our perspective,
Right.
shift our priorities. Like, what is really important?
Yes.
What is the important thing?
Yes.
I al-
Yes.
I often at the end of an episode ask our expert to consider there's someone who is receiving this episode. It's being shared. They
Mhm.
received it and they've actually been masking their pain. And they've been busy, they've been perfect, they've been seeking approval. What would you say is the next step to start? They've heard it, they've
Mm.
listened, your words have pierced them, and they know this is tied to pain. What's the next best step to get started?
I would say the next best step for some is going to be to get help.
Mm.
Okay. It's to get help. For some, that's to start in a book, in a workbook, in a group, or talking to someone, whether it's a therapist, clergy, whatever, right? Like get help because we have to get help to see our blind spots. And as you heard, I got help to see my blind spots in a book.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have people in my life. There were times in my life where that help was a therapist. And particularly if you were anything like me, and you need to release some shame and change that story to hear the truth, get some help.
Oh,
Yes. Because the language you have access to is not the truth. and you just need a little help
I love
to
that.
get there. Releasing perfectionism, I would say that to release that, one must become intentional about aligning your actions with your core values. Write down your core values, like, or what you think they are today, right? And think about your action in any given day or a week.
Mhm.
What have you done that aligns with those values and things that don't? The big one, I've done this in a workshop, asked people, if the doctor gave you 180 days to live, what would you do in those 180 days? It
Mhm.
tells you what you value, right? A lot of people say, I spend time with my family,
Mhm.
travel, blah, blah, blah. And family's at the top often. And then I asked them, if we looked at your past week, would you say that your actions around family align with that core value? Ooh,
Ouch.
yes. And of course, I was talking to them because I was talking to myself, right? Talking to myself at the time. But that is a good exercise that you can do by yourself and do often to really check whether you're aligning with what you believe you value. So introspection is a good next step. Um,
Mhm.
as I mentioned, I use the tool. I went back to the basics, whatever
Mhm.
that is for you. Um, go to it.
Mhm.
Uh, always, I believe that we were put on this earth to be interdependent.
Mhm.
So I think every solution for people includes community. So for somebody else who has already, gotten a book, a workbook, done some introspection, that maybe the next step is to find a community that
Yeah.
helps challenge you. Yes.
Yeah. I believe my assistant said you have a gift for 5 of our listeners.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yes, yes.
yes.
So we still got people hanging in, and look at you because you stayed until I know I see those hearts. Those hearts are shooting up. Yes, because you stayed to the end. We will now
Awesome.
hear about how can you connect with Professor
Yes.
P and
Mhm.
what she is offering our listeners.
Yes. Well, I think we're going to put what I'm offering in the show notes because it is a link to a calendar because
Mm.
I'm offering a gift of a coaching conversation to the first 5 people who are listening, of your listeners, whether, they get from this group now
Mm-hmm.
or from the recording. Um, there are slots available. Just put in Flipside in the comments, and I'll know that you were one of the flip side of adversity radio show listeners.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that because although I've been coaching for 30 something years, right? I've been
Mm-hmm.
coaching and training and mentoring and doing all the things. I decided to become a professional coach.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yes, and certified and official in 2024, at the end of
Mm-hmm.
2024. And so I'm gifting, in addition to
Wow.
your 5 folks, I decided that in 2025, I want to have at least 3 gifted coaching sessions a week.
Oh, y'all better jump on. Y'all better jump
Yes,
on this. So you're going to send us or give us
the link.
the Calendly
Yeah.
link. But
Hmm.
how can people right now find you? What is your
Yes.
website address?
Yes. So our website is www.perceptionsunltd.com. So that's PerceptionSunltd.com. And yeah, you could also contact me through that site.
Mhm.
Just go to the contact us page. And I'm on LinkedIn pretty regularly. You can type in perceptions or my name, Rochelle Peterson-Ansari. Let's connect. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Perceptions Unlimited, the whole word, Perceptions Unlimited spelled out.
Awesome. So
Yes.
I'm going to tell guests tomorrow
Mm,
morning, we are going to post the replay. Make sure you check the notes of the replay because the calendar link will be in the replay tomorrow. I've already dropped the website address in the comments of Facebook. So grab access to the website. It's in the comments right now. And as she shared, follow her on, you said Facebook and LinkedIn. Follow her,
yes.
find her, connect. Get connected because this is an ongoing gift, y'all. Don't miss this.
Yes, yes. And may I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Oh, just the one thing that we did also launch a podcast called Rooted to Thrive, conversations that elevate our humanity. We are just trying to spread some love out there. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Rooted, the number 2, Thrive.
Yes, indeed. And guess what, y'all? I'm going to be on there. I'm going to have to make sure y'all catch my episode when it drops.
Yes.
So we also have placed the link to the show itself as well is in the comments. So grab that, get access to that. And Sora, I just can't tell you thank you enough. The
Oh,
conversation has been rich, it has been honest, it has been vulnerable. We appreciate your nuggets, your very practical strategies, your spirit, and your faith walk. For us all to get intentional, especially as not identifying a resolution or something that is unrealistic, set intention and get better connected with what is happening inside of you so that it'll start showing up on the outside. Oh,
yes.
Sora, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. This has
I thank
been
you.
an amazing conversation and an amazing way to start off the new year.
Yes, indeed. And thank you, thank you, thank you for the opportunity to share. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely my pleasure. So, y'all, all month we have brand new guests. We are launching season 14, 2025. I am so excited with all of the guests that we have. Next week, Bria Miles, the Christian rap artist, she's going to be talking about bars and books and how she continues to hold on to her identity as a woman, as a Christian, and as a rap artist. Do not miss that conversation. We're talking about being authentic and remaining who you are, regardless of culture, regardless of other people's behavior. You are here and you are enough. So, same time, same place, right here on the flip side. We'll see you next week. Trauma, toxic stress, broken habit, and hurting heart don't define destiny, but peace isn't passive. It requires an exchange. To create a flip and access peace in the middle of the pieces, you are challenged to make an exchange of the lies that have kept you mentally hostage in basement moments. Resilience isn't about bouncing back, but bouncing forward. Living